Next topic. You had one you wanted to talk about.
Right. So I wanted to talk about mental health in veterans. So I am a U.S. Army veteran. I was in the Army for just under 12 years.
Yeah,
And
thank you for your service.
that is unnecessary, but you're welcome. And I had gone through most of my adult life as an angry individual and did not realize it, to the point where it would affect me in the workplace. My boss knew this and referred to me often as the pit bull. When someone needed to be put back in line, I was the one that he sent. And then I would
But
have.
do you think that was because of anger, or do you think that was more of your ability to be assertive based off of your military training? A genuine question.
Yeah, and it was my ability to be assertive and to do so in a way that I wouldn't have done under other circumstances. Right. And one of the things that the military taught me early on in my career, unlike what you see on television and not counting boot camp, is that you don't need to raise your voice to make a point with someone verbally. You can choose words that are like being punching someone in the stomach,
Also,
and
body language, right?
right, in body language and things of that nature. And so, how this all started was a buddy of mine who is a veteran, had just moved down south from New England. We knew each other up there. We used to ride motorcycles together up there. We're both Freemasons and so forth. So he moved down south and invited me to come spend the weekend with him in his new house. And I did. And I hadn't seen him in years. And we were sitting together early one morning after a night of partying, and we started talking about benefits. And he asked me if I was getting benefits, and I explained that I was getting health care. And he said, "Well, are you collecting?" And I said, "I'm not." And he said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, I mean, I was discharged from my knees. I only got a rating of 20%. It's not even worth collecting on. It's just a couple of $100 a month." So
Well,
he
you could
came.
probably tell people what it means to be 20% for the knees.
Yes, that's a good point. So in the VA, you get rated in increments of 10% from 0 to 100. They're not accumulative ratings. They have this whole VA math. If you Google it, you'll see it. But you get a check every month based on the rating that you get, anywhere from $100 and change up to, if you're 100% rating and married with kids, it can be over $3,000 a month. And
Uh,
this check, this money is not income, so it's not taxable,
uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So, so he told me, he says, "Dude, you have PTSD." And I looked at him like he was nuts. And I said, "I do not have PTSD." So in my mind,
PTSD being post-traumatic stress
stress
disorder.
disorder, right? And in my mind, I am not shell shocked, if you will. I don't jump at loud noises. Bangs don't make me flinch, anything along those lines, right? So I did not have PTSD. Um, so we fast forward a bit, and we I had an event in a social setting where one of my friends hit a trigger that I did not know that I had, and it came out of the blue. And I went from zero to enraged in seconds. And I had never experienced this before in my life. And it scared the crap out of me because I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to go to jail. None of those things. So I reached out.
It's interesting. Sorry, it's interesting though, but to talk about that, it sent you into that place, but it also scared the crap out of you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you had multiple emotions coming at you and driving at you
Right. Yeah.
in
Yes.
an instant. Yeah.
It all came in an instant, and I was able to restrain myself and separate myself from the situation And that was that. So, I realized, the whole conversation came back and with my buddy. So I reached out to the VA. And you have to understand that, PTSD, it's difficult to prove. Someone can fake it, right? And so the VA goes through a very strict process of evaluating you. And I was not looking for a PTSD diagnosis. I was trying to understand, why did I react the way I did? Because I almost hurt someone
Sure.
that I like. And so I went through this process of interview after interview. I explained what happened. We talked about various events in my life, and I was given the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, in which I immediately went into therapy. Now, here's the thing. I own firearms, and I have a few. So, I look at firearms like tools in a toolbox, different firearms for different things, right? If I'm going to go clay shooting, I have shotguns for that. If I am going to go target shooting with pistols, I have pistols for target shooting. If I'm going to do competition shooting, I have pistols for that. If I am going to carry every day with a concealed carry, I have pistols for that. In the event of a zombie apocalypse, I have rifles for that. Hey, don't laugh, it could happen. I've watched The Walking Dead.
I don't know. I was thinking zombie apocalypse in terms of the video games you play and such as that, but where you probably have other weapons as well for that. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress.
I don't play video games.
I'm not trying to draw back.
Either way. So, but I have weapons. And one of my concerns was, am I going to end up on some list and someone's going to come to my door saying, we need to come take your weapons? And I have talked to several veteran friends of mine over the years that have said they will never reach out to mental health because they don't want anyone to come take their weapons. Well, I can tell you that I did 2 years of PTSD therapy and anger management, and no one came to take my weapons. And I gained an understanding of why I was angry. I was carrying baggage that I didn't know and some of it related to the military and some of it not, and it was mind-blowing when it was done. And I'll be the first to tell you, the experience going through it sucks in a major way, because you're ripping Band-Aids off, festering wounds, and you're forced to confront and all of that. However, all that being said and done, when I came out the other side, I was better for it. And so there's a saying, 22 a day is the average of how many veterans commit suicide every day. Now, mind you, there are veterans out there now that are younger than me that served in Iraq and in Afghanistan and other theaters of combat that have seen and gone through things more significant and more disruptive than things that I have seen and gone through. That being said, if you're out there and if you find yourself that you get mad pretty quickly, if your coworkers, tend to consider you the guy that sets people straight, or if you're the office pit bull, if you ask your significant other, whomever they may be, are you an angry person? And they honestly look at you and say, yes, you might be carrying baggage. And I assumed all veterans were angry and was wrong. And so I can say, I wrapped up therapy about 1.5 years ago, and it has made a big difference.
Yeah. And thanks that's a very personal story. I know. Thanks for sharing, and hopefully it.
And then one last thing.
Yeah.
I want to say, for those of you that do need help, there is something called the Veterans Crisis Line. You can call that number and reach out to them. You can Google it. You can find it anywhere. If you're already dealing with the VA, I'm sure you understand. Call the Veterans Crisis Line, and they will work with you to give you any assistance you need. And while it wasn't pleasant, I am certainly the better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thanks for sharing that very personal story there. But I will say that having known you, for the last few years, I've certainly seen how you have turned some things around, and certainly, I think, gotten to a point where you feel like you can handle things better. And you've always been a good guy, but it's one of the things I think it's really it's visible to other people as well in terms of the way that this has helped you as well. So yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good going. Yeah, absolutely.